The kids, what they say now, Paul? What they call what I do? They call this cinema.
Okay, I absolutely love what this show is doing with Spanner, Trumpet, and Gigist. With the beginning of the episode, we did get the revelation that, in fact, Gigist isn't dead. And also, he shares the title of Ableist King with two other individuals, Jeremiah, or Jeramin, and Geraja, which I don't get how all of them can share the title of a king, where you control like a singular land, but you know what? Do what you want. Overall, the addition to the villain lineup does really work. Not only with them being a trio, kind of being the throwback for pretty much the first half of the show, with them being kind of way more messed up version of the the three dark sisters, which is cool, while also confirming that 1000% like the three dark sisters are going to turn good and face against the three kings, which I don't know how it's going to work because they're strong. They're like semi-strong, but they're not like taking on the three dark kings. So I'm not really sure about it. And tell you the truth, those three interacting with each other is really interesting. Specifically, like the way they kind of almost like patronize. Gigas is like, oh, you really want to understand humans. Oh, what? You want to understand humans? What it got you? It got you being defeated, son. Which is like really cool. But like you can really see like all three of them having now different personality. Which is like next to when Gigas was kind of alone, he kind of felt like, oh, he's just a bad guy. But like next to like both Jeremiah and Jera, how the fuck did I say her name again? Gelija. I think it's supposed to be Gelija. Like you can clearly see all three of them have like different personalities. Gigas is the brooding, edgy dude that, tell the truth, is kind of the leader of the pack. Jeramin is kind of the fun starter dude that really loves humans, which is kind of fun. And his want is kind of like, oh, he wants to turn humans into amalgam, which you can say kind of retroactively, he's kind of like the reason of the amalgams, at least in the first kind of arc, kind of like he kind of the person that made it work, specifically with him straight up being an alchemist, because like he does the magic that they do that this show consider alchemy to create a golem, which is really cool. And Galahad be kind of like, oh, she's kind of the astrology type girl. Like right now we don't really know a lot about her, but it really seems that she's like, oh, I'm an astrologist. Well, it's like, I don't want to date you now. And it really is interesting that how much like all three of them are kings. There is very much a hierarchy because it seems like Gigist is the top guy and everybody and all three of them are kind of, and Garaha and Jeramin are kind of below him. And you can clearly see is like Jeramin kind of wants to be the king. He wants to be the top guy. He would maybe attack Gigist, while like Gelija would actually kind of wait it out, see what the stars tell her, for fuck's sake. But I do really like those three interacting with each other, and tell you the truth, it does really work. And there is a kind of an interesting detail with all three of them, or at least Jeremiah and Garahan, they have like Gigis's face on them. I think Jeramin is supposed to have it on his waist, while Gelija having it on her arm. So it is kind of interesting they have Gigis's face on them. Is it like a fin, or it's like it's not really Gigis's face and it's like some sort of like a title of a king? Maybe it's like the crown and he wears it on his head, which does make sense if you really think about it, because like, oh, it does really look like he's wearing something, because like the rest of Gigist is kind of similar in style to both of them, while also kind of like with their appearance we not only get the big revelation that the thing that ate Gigist, that Edgarian was shit, I forgot what his name is. I think it is supposed to be Jeramin. I think it's supposed to be Jeramin, right? German. So German actually ate Geryon, and Geryon is a doll, which makes him like prime doll because like he creates other dolls, and it is actually really interesting. So did Geryon know he's a doll, or like he gained his own consciousness, he didn't know in one point that he's a doll. So that's like actually interesting, while at the same time kind of like bringing Atropos more and more to the light, or at least making her more and more of an anti-hero or even an anti-villain, with her kind of like, hey, like you killed my papa, fuck you, Jermaine. And she actually forms a pact with Rene, with her kind of with her saying, hey, listen, if you pull the hit on him, I will not attack anyone, and like I peaking promise. And it is really interesting what they're going to do. Is it going to are we going to just get like Atropos being a full-on good guy, or like something happens and like Atropos is going to get eaten or whatever? Like it is kind of interesting what they're kind of doing for Atropos. At first I was kind of like, no, don't try to turn like Atropos like baby face, but now I'm kind of in between about it. It is kind of an interesting story that the show can tell, but the thing is how much this show can actually do with this story is going to be interesting. But also I am kind of sad that like my biggest theory about Geryon is totally Hotoro's dad is dead now, but my theory about Gigas somehow being Geryon, or at least Geryon is at least inhabiting Gigas's body, still like lives on. Again, the actor didn't get his flowers, so I still believe that somehow he would come back. Like come on, like it has to be a thing, right? While if I already talked about one of the three Dark Sisters, I do really like what this show is continuing to do with Olaf, with her kind of like turning mad, making more and more sense because of the amount of powers that she's getting, not only with Gigas, but now Jeremiah kind of like Jermaine kind of like, oh, here's more power. Now you don't have dreadlocks anymore, which is kind of interesting. Hey, like she was so fucking powerful, she got to defeat 2 riders in one episode, which is a fair play to the writer Kamen. But I really like that she wants to have like Lachesis back, while Lachesis is like, look at what happened to you. You're just a doll without a soul, which is like so deep for like Lachesis to see, like, oh my god, she's missing a soul, which seems to be kind of like, oh, like Lachesis is really fully a good guy, which just give her more clothes, give her new clothes, for fuck's sake. She's been wearing the same shit since the first episode, come on. But it is really interesting what the show is doing with Olaf. It's like she's trying to force Lachesis to come back, but like Lachesis is telling her, hey, forcing someone to your ideals, forcing someone to come back to a family that is toxic is not the right thing. Like, let me go. But like Olaf is so enraged and so power hungry, she doesn't see it, so she attacks her. And the show kind of remembered that Lachesis can transform into Valvarad. Good, she did get defeated, but good. And we actually got to have more lore about Nijigon, with him actually holds a portion of the power that the kings have, which comes from the Philosopher's Stone, which, to be completely honest, I'm a man that doesn't really do a lot of research. When I do it, it's not for these weekly videos, because like they don't pull that many views, and right now I'm not monetized, so hey, I will not do that as much research. I will do it on like big videos. So my knowledge of the Philosopher's Stone kind of like is bare minimum to like a Harry Potter book and a movie that I've read and watched years ago, and I haven't like rewatched or reread, so it's practically no knowledge. If you want to enlighten me on the Philosopher's Stone, do it in the comments. Just kind of keep it to like maybe 2 paragraphs, please. But it is kind of interesting that with this we kind of get this really interesting kind of dilemma with Spanner, because now with all 101 Kemis collected, the Academy kind of wants them back, but Hotoro doesn't want that, mainly because he wants to create the perfect world where Kemis and humans coexist. And it is kind of interesting that Spanner, after a long time, he doesn't see the Kemis as tools, but he doesn't seem that this will be the perfect world, because in the end the Kemis were pretty much made for fighting, and Spanner's like perfect world, which it is really interesting, because as a character, when he first came in, he really wanted to be like a Kamen Rider. He always kind of strived to be a Kamen Rider. That was like a big part of his introduction of like, Totoro, you are not supposed to be Kamen Rider. His perfect world is a world where they are not needed, which is like so devoid of Spanner's like first arc, which is brilliant, and it shows its growth, and it shows his growth, which is beautiful in my opinion. Like Spanner as a character really transformed from like the beginning of the show to this one. Like he's almost unrecognizable how good he is now. Like it's genuinely great now, and it's totally like 1000% connected somehow to Minato's plan. Like maybe it is kind of like maybe allowing the chemists to be free, but like maybe in their own kind of world, maybe there is some sort of like an interconnectivity, but not fully like chemis like working alongside humans. So it is kind of interesting. Like I don't know, like it's overall it's a better fucking episode than last week. It seems like Uchida can't fucking write an episode to save his life. Like no, he can write an episode, but he can't fucking write a good episode to save his life because it's another fucking Akito episode. Once again, like the main fucking writing team should have been not fucking Uchida and fucking Keiichi Asagawa, but like yeah, like it totally should have been a fucking like a Keiichi Asagawa and a fucking Akito Inoue written show, and I truly believe it would have been better for it. Like Uchida is the one that's actually writing the really bad episodes. I'm sorry. Yeah, like I truly enjoyed this episode. It was a great introduction to now the two other kings, and a great kind of continuation of Kolaf's story alongside Atropes, and a new side to Spanner that we really get to see more and more of. And also Fuga's back, so sadly, like his doubles, the counter's dead. Yeah, like all the times we saw him is just doubles, because like, oh, like the show kind of remembers the first episode, he got really injured, and also got defeated by Kola. Yeah, this episode gets an A+. I loved it. What you all thought about Gotchard's 40th episode? We are kind of really close to, we are pretty much in the final stretch. I think right now, like, just keep the main writing team to be like an Akito written episode, and then like as a Hasagawa episode, they kind of go back and forth. I think it's brilliant. I think this should have been, those two should have been like the main head writers. So yeah, what you thought about the 40th episode? Comment below, let me know. Do you think this show should have been a Keiichi Asagawa and a Akito Inoue written show? Please tell me, because I'm actually interested to know your opinions about it. So yeah, like the video if you liked it, make the subscribe button, complete its journey to becoming a subscribe button, and also only you can prevent forest fires. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.